If you're not living in a parallel universe, you want your website to be fast. But how does one make its website fast? That's exactly what I'm going to cover in this video. I'll show you how to make your website around 40% faster, completely free of charge. And I'll go through each optimization step by step, showing you the impact that it had, even on cheap $5 web hosting plans. Let's get started. If you're a long-time viewer, you know how I never shut up about caching and what kind of a difference it's able to make. In essence, caching is just a very fancy word for preloading your content. That means your website doesn't need to load content every time a user requests a page. It can store a copy in its memory and show that to the user instead, resulting in an incredible speed boost. Now, to take advantage of caching, you have plenty of options. There are a ton of plugins, and some web hosting companies even deployed their own tools. But in general, there are two ways to activate caching. 1. Download and activate a caching plugin from the WordPress dashboard. I recommend you use W3 Total Cache as a free option, and let me show you the kind of difference this is able to make. So this is my website hosted on InterServer, which is already a really good web hosting provider, and without caching the website loads in approximately 1.4 seconds, scoring 91% in performance. Pretty good, right? Now check this out. If I would install W3 Total Cache, a free plugin, a new performance section appears on my WordPress website. Let's tweak some settings. First, go into the General Settings tab and make sure that Page Cache is enabled. The caching mode should be enhanced if you're using shared hosting, memcached if you're using cloud hosting. Next, scroll down and enable Browser Cache, then click Save All Settings. Click on Page Cache and make sure that Cache Post Page is checked, Cache Feeds is checked, Cache SSL Request is checked, and Don't Cache Pages for Logged In Users is checked. And finally, don't cache pages for all of the user roles is checked together with all of the different user roles. That's a lot of caching. Click on Save All Settings again and go into the Browser Cache individual options here at the sidebar. Here you'll want to check the Last Set Modified header, Set Expires header, Set Cache Control header, and set W3 Total Cache header, and obviously remove query strings from static resources. Click on Save All Settings one final time. And now if I would do the exact same test on the exact same InterServer hosted website, 5% increase in performance and 0.2 seconds decreased loading time. The most important thing is, however, time to first byte. It went from 0.6 seconds to 0.15. That means my server responds 5 times faster than before. And at this point I know what you're thinking. 5% increase in performance doesn't seem like all that much. But keep in mind that we did reduce the server response time by 5 times, which is a huge impact. And we're also using a really fast web hosting provider to begin with. So there's less theoretical room for improvements. By the way, InterServer is like a really cheap web hosting provider. I recommend them on my channel all the time. They're a great company. If you want to get a plan with them for yourself, I leave discount links in the description down below. But let's get back to optimizing your website for now. However, manual caching software is not always needed. Some providers take care of that for you completely automatically. If you're using providers like Hostinger or SiteGround, you'll have this technology pre-installed and configured. You can check if it's activated on Hostinger by going into your website controls and looking at Lightspeed Cache. If you're using SiteGround, you get a plugin called SG Optimizer installed that takes care of stuff automatically as well. The second tip is more about what you can do outside of your website. You probably know this, but website data still has to travel physical distances from the servers to the computers of your website visitors. Sure, it's like really fast, but it still takes some amount of time, especially when we're talking about worldwide distances this travel time becomes a lot more significant. Okay, so how exactly do you battle the fact that your website is sitting on a server that's in the United States and your users are sitting on a computer that's in Singapore? Well, you put your website on more servers that are scattered all across the world. Duh, obviously. A good way to do this, and completely free, is by using a content delivery network, or a CDN for short. This basically puts a copy of your website on multiple worldwide servers, and users load your site from a server that's closest to them. To get started, I recommend using a free service called Cloudflare. Just visit their page and create a free account. Then type in your website name that you want to speed up, and go through these steps easy peasy. Keep in mind that the free version is here at the bottom, and you'll want to use the default method after that. Once you see this screen, it's time to update your name servers. This might sound hard, but in reality it really isn't. Once again, I'll use the same inter-server website that I've been modifying so far. So, you'll need to go into your domain provider's name server settings and change a couple of values. The name server editing in inter-server is located in the Domains tab, then Settings, and finally Name Servers. I'll just delete the name servers that are given here and copy-paste the ones that Cloudflare gave me. Keep in mind that this update might take a couple of minutes and that every single web hosting provider has a different control panel, but usually it's always the same deal. You'll need to navigate to the domains area and find something called the name servers or DNS. Once you've updated the name servers with the ones Cloudflare gave you and waited a couple of minutes, you can go ahead and click Done. Check name servers on Cloudflare. For the quick start guide, just skip it by clicking Finish Later. And basically, you want to keep refreshing this Cloudflare page until you see this green check mark. Keep in mind that it can take up to 10 or 15 minutes until this happens. And once it's green checkmark territory, that's it. Your website is now on servers all across the world. Let's test this bad boy out. And boom, 1 second loading time with a 97% in performance. Okay, so I am approaching a little bit of a limit of how much I can optimize this particular website, but if I would add more content like videos, pictures or GIFs, I would see a considerable decrease in speed. However, there is something that I can do to squeeze out that last little bit of performance from this website. So usually websites are made from elements like HTML, CSS, JavaScript code, pictures, videos, GIFs, basically stuff. And what if I told you that most of the time you can compress all of that stuff to take up less space? And if it takes up less space, bingo, it will travel faster, meaning you're gonna get some more speed, boys. Now, to minimize your website elements, we can use the same W3 Total Cache plugin again. Just go back to your WordPress dashboard and click on the Performance tab, then the General tab, and make sure to check Enable next to the Minify setting. Compressing the elements that make up your website can have some unintended consequences, meaning stuff can break. So I always recommend you have a backup ready in case that happens. If you don't have any backups, you can see how to backup and secure your website for free in a video I did right here. Once the Minify checkmark is enabled, scroll down quite a bit into the User Experience section and select the Lazy Load Images option. This will only load images once a user reaches that part of the website, so no unnecessary loading times. And of course, as always, click Save All Settings. Now, do you seriously think that we're done here? Because, nah son, I still got optimizations up my sleeve. Most notably, upgrading the PHP version. Again, I'll use inter-server for this example to be consistent, but this basically applies to any web hosting. If I would navigate to my cPanel and click on Select PHP version, you would see that there's a ton of different versions. In general, newer equals faster. At the moment, 7.4 is the newest version, so that's the one I'll use. But do keep in mind that if your website is old, the newer PHP version might break your site because it's not compatible. So before you do this, get a backup so you don't go into the comments saying, yo Emit, you broke my website. Okay, let's do one final speed test. Well, what do you know? 0.9 seconds with a 99% in performance and 100% in structure. I don't think I can push this website and this web hosting server any further. Obviously, all of this was possible because I was using a good web hosting provider to begin with, and I was just giving it that extra push. If you're using a crappy web hosting provider, no amount of optimizations will help your speed considerably. That's why I leave a list of my top recommended and cheap web hosting providers in the description down below, together with some discounts. Start using good hosting. But there are some other rules that I categorize in the "don't be a dumbass" section. For example, don't overdo it on plugins. Old, slow, unknown, or large quantity of plugins will slow down your website a lot. Just apply some common sense, monitor your speed and the changes you make. For now, my name is Emit, and I want for you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Because seriously, look at this. 90% of my viewers are not subscribed to this channel. How can I flex my YouTube clout with rookie numbers like that? So, if you enjoy the content, subscribe, drop a like, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.